Hello, everyone. Welcome to Real Talk with Tia and Jill. And we have a very special guest today, Melody Gee. Welcome.
Hi, everyone. Thank
We're
you for
s-
having me on the show.
we're so happy to have you here, Melody.
Yes,
Thank
we
you.
are. We are. And we're excited to share you with our audience, even though you are probably known by most of our audience, which we'll get into a little bit in the show. But we are happy to have you here. I think this is your first time on Real Talk.
Yes, it is. I've been watching a couple of your shows and then it's been very fun. So, yeah, again, pleasure to be here.
Yes, yes, yes. And we are happy to see you all out there in the audience. Of course, we can't actually see you,
Mhm.
but put in the comments, where are you watching from? How's the weather out there? Probably just going to be hot. And let us know so that we can say hello to you. And we always encourage you to put your questions, your comments, your perspectives in the chat.
Yes, and even if you're on replay, still comment because those come back to us. And of course, we want to make sure we're connecting and sharing and just being in the conversation, right? That's how we get better together is being in the conversation together.
Absolutely. Betsy, hello. Hey, Betsy is here with us. Thank
Yay.
you for joining today. We're excited about today's topic. We're going to talk about women leading in food safety and culture and how it's all connected, especially with, Melanie has this passion around women in food safety, women in leadership. And so I'm excited about the conversation we're going to have around that and tying it to culture and all the great things we've been talking about.
Yes. So if it is your first time joining us, welcome. We're so happy that you're spending this time with us and with Melody. Here at Catalyst, we are passionate about transforming how we lead in food. We are in an era where it is about total well being. And how do we shift our leadership styles so that we are really focusing on people to help take care of business? That's what we do here, leadership development and food safety culture solutions. So, thank you for joining us and talking more about these two areas.
Yes, yes, yes. And without further ado, Melody, we are happy you are here. And for people that might not know who you are, give us a little background on who you are and how did you find your way into food?
Sure. Hi, everyone, wherever you join. Nice to meet you virtually. My name is Melody. I'm the founder of Women in Food Safety. Um, I love food. That's how I found food. And my mom, I'm truly a food adventure. Like I like to try different types of food. Whenever I travel, I try the foods because the foods knows the culture of the country, of the states, of the cities. That's really one of the main reasons I chose food. And my passion is in food safety and quality culture because my background, I've worked in different stakeholders in the industry, including GFSI CPOs, retailers, manufacturing, lab testing, all that. So I get a different perspective, formed me to have a unique perspective to help our sites to have a positive food safety culture and a practical quality management system. I started my career with Beyond Meat with R&D and food safety, and later I found my passion in food safety, and all devoted in here till today. I'm also the senior director of operations quality with Treehouse Foods as
Yes,
well.
yes. And that is a new role for you. So congratulations.
Mhm.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been juggling, and I enjoyed it so much so far.
Awesome. I love the way that you talk about how you found food, where it's like, I love food. And really, that food is, I like to say, like the eyes into a culture, right? Like
Mhm.
exactly what you were talking about. You're able to experience a culture differently when you partake, right, in their food. And that's even how we celebrate, right, within our cultures. Food is always there, right? It's like a staple, no matter what we're doing, whether we're celebrating, whether we're grieving, whether we're just sitting around, right, and snacking. Food is a part of it. So I love the way you connected it even to culture there.
Yeah, and then near there, the you love like the things you love, then you do it well. and then all the challenges becomes minimized. So I love food. I love eating, and yeah, that's why I'm in food safety.
And
Oh,
a match made in heaven.
right. Well, Melody, one thing that I know about you, like we both lead the IFP, Food Safety Culture PDG, and if you all are going to be there in Long Beach, we hope that you join us. Jill's also a leader of a PDG, so go see hers as well. But one thing that I know about you is that you are really passionate about food safety culture, and you have had experiences through your career shifting cultures and transforming cultures. And so I'd love for us to just kick off with you talking more about your experience on what you've seen around transforming cultures and what has stood out to you.
Yeah, culture is one of the things that it's pity to see, or is like people think culture becomes a buzzword. Everything is culture, culture. But
Mhm.
really, to me, down to the nitty gritty, to me, culture is people.
Yeah.
People forms the culture, and then we can talk. So it's the same reason as I founded a Woman in Food Safety is because of the caring, I guess we'll say.
Mhm.
So we got to care about the people, and then we have the vision of what kind of culture we would like to form in this facility.
Yeah.
Because let's just use a facility as an example. All aspects as stakeholders, people who enter the facilities impact the culture.
Mhm.
So that includes our frontline workers, employees who
Mhm.
work there, our auditors who comes auditing our
Mhm.
facilities,
Yeah.
our senior management coming from headquarters versus the senior management at the plant level.
Mhm.
Um, so those aspects all need to be taken into consideration. And of course, who plays the key role in the culture besides the leadership gives the vision is the frontline worker. And
Mhm.
for me, I still think we didn't pay that much of attention to care, really care about the frontline workers, what they need, whether our practices works, is the SOPs sustained at the fitting their job needs. So that's my perspective of a culture. So it's purely based on people. Shift wise, I mean, culture is a culture. It's really, uh, it's a continuous improvement. Wouldn't say,
Mhm.
I wouldn't say it's a bad culture, but it's a culture. So, for example, if a plant has a food safety culture that is audit react, and whenever there is an auditors coming, they will do it. Is it a bad culture or is it a culture? To me, it's a culture. Okay, they've been trained. Maybe it's the environment tells them, oh, audit is your KPI, you got to do it. So
Mhm.
that way, they form that mindset of thinking, oh, I need to meet the auditor needs so
Right.
that I can perform. Um, so that's an example how to shift that. I think one thing, if I look back, patient is a key. I
Mhm.
understand leadership has a lot of stress that your CEO keep telling you, you got to change this, you got to change this. But for you as a lead head of the safety and quality team, you got to be patient to your team, because
Yeah.
changing culture is not tomorrow, oh, I'm
Yeah.
gonna and then it's going to change. Also, another side that sometimes we tend to forget is the culture we talk about at the plant. It fits in the plant culture. What's your plant manager's vision of this culture at this plant? Another fold is the country culture, like
Mhm.
the place these employees living. If they're living in a place that work to them is not really a priority, then you might run it into be tomorrow they don't show up at work.
Mhm.
So um
Yeah.
so the culture fits in different environment as well. I guess we can talk long and long on this culture, but I guess I will say first, care, really care about the workers, hear their needs. The people is the important part. Second is be patient.
Mhm.
Change comes with time. Reinforcement on the change. Be patient, and people will get there. They will follow your leadership if they see the reason.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Melody, those are such great points. And I think you highlight the area where as businesses have grown, it's been so focused on KPIs and numbers and goals that it
Mhm.
has forgotten people.
Yeah.
And there was a recent study published, and I believe it was Alchemy who found that only 27% of employees follow procedures consistently, or it was something
Mhm.
to that number. And I think that's one of those pieces of evidence that even show us that we're not caring enough
Yeah.
to help them navigate procedures. And it
Yes.
may not always be the caring, but it may even be our skills to be able to help guide and inspire people well.
Yes.
Right. I have a quick example. Where one of the common findings in my experience, I see one plant is regarding the sanitation utensils. That the procedure is perfect. They say the sanitation utensils has to be stored in the room, which is GFSI requirements with the identified authority access. But when you walk around as an auditor, you will still see sanitation, like the brooms, brushes, is everywhere along the line.
Mm.
So when I get to the facility, I really ask the frontline worker, why do you do that? And then the reason is, it's, I said, do you know there's a room for the sanitation utensils? And then he was like, yeah, I know. And then I said, then why you're not doing it? He said, I just don't have enough time.
Mm.
The break is really small, short,
Yeah.
and the requirement SOP is you got to change, right? You got to
Right.
clean in between the breaks,
Yeah.
and the room for the utensils is so far away from the production room. And these type
Mm.
of resources is the leaders needs to think. We
Mhm.
got to think. Okay, we got to reevaluate our risk assessment to form the culture. They can use it and then put it back. So at the
Yeah.
end, they install different utensil stations in the
Right.
production area instead of the main room. So this is one small example, but those
Mhm.
small things shows the care.
Mm.
Like we hear the employees' needs, we do what we can do within the risk assessment.
Right, right. Yes, absolutely. I think that that's a common example and one that people can relate to, which hello, Sharon and Megan and Kara, welcome. Welcome. We're glad you're here. I think that that's an example that we can all relate to, because I think sometimes we're in this mindset of, well, the procedure is perfect, right? It's written well. Why are they just not following it? And it's hard for us to see that. But when you ask them the question, right? Like, how can I make this easier for you? Right? Like, this is the requirement. These are the guidelines we need to stay within, right? This is what we're trying to do. How do I make this easier for you? Or what suggestions do you have? Right? Maybe it's things that we hadn't even thought about. But I think this underlining of, I care about you. I care about the work that you're doing. I care about what we're doing here collectively together. And I want to be a part of that solution as a leader.
Mhm.
And I think a lot of times people don't think about it, but that is a skill, right? It's not just easy to say, oh, just go and do. And because we've had those people say, like, why are you all not doing this? And you don't have the same type of vibes coming from that person. You don't want to answer, right? You don't want to be in those conversations. Maybe trust hasn't been built and all of those things versus someone that has done the soft skill work, right? To build those relationships. That question sounds different coming from a person that you have a relationship with.
Yeah.
And you have a good point. If the suggestion and practices from the employee, it actually sustain longer because they have the ownership, and then they are proud, and then you make them proud of what they come up
Mhm.
um, with the practices.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I think, and I love that. And I think it's also how do I'm going to say middle managers get better at asking those questions and
Yeah.
involving people, because
Mhm.
even to have somebody put that suggestion in, to have a culture where they feel safe to do that, they need leaders that know how to create those spaces for them to do that.
Yes.
So I know when we talk about culture, we often talk about like the frontline team members, which I think is fantastic because we do need to show we care. But I also always think about like how do we peel back the layers to see where is it that we actually have the problems to solve so that
Yeah.
people are more engaged and people are empowered and people that's the culture. Like getting
Yeah.
into those layers and seeing where are those actual challenges that are impacting cultures. So I love that you
Mhm.
talk about that because, even Megan, right? You have to understand your people.
Yeah.
And that takes doing things differently.
Mhm.
They're not
Mhm.
just a checkbox.
Yeah, and it's hard. I love that second point that you had, Melody, around patience.
Mhm.
Right. I said on a webinar that was talking about operationalizing a culture, and one thing the speaker was talking about is that culture change is possible. It just takes patience and persistence.
Mhm.
And it's not hard. It just takes patience and persistence, which is where the hard part is, right? Because we're not patient, right? And typically we're not persistent. We're kind of chasing other things, innovation or whatever it happens to be. But if we are patient and we are persistent, right, and we value those things, then we start seeing that culture shift.
Yeah.
Yeah, and actually, women leaders are good at that. And because
Mm,
women has a really good strength that's my personal opinion. We are resilient.
yeah.
So we are very resilient. We know when to be strong, when to be soft, and we are patient because a lot of us are moms, and that's natural. And we care, and also we persistent.
Mhm.
Sometimes, something, right?
Right.
So, so I think being a woman, the strength of resilience helps us with this patient and then persistent. And then you're
Mhm.
absolutely right. You need someone to drive that culture. And that leader has to have a very strong vision of, I just got to do this. And I know
Mhm.
it's going to happen. And I have to influence my people.
Right.
And I think women leaders is natural, good at
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and with that, I'm sure even being the founder of Women in Food Safety, you've been looking at what are some of the barriers and what are some of the real challenges. Because even though we've raised awareness about some of the gaps um, in the proportion of women that are in leadership roles, we know that there is still a big disparity
Yeah.
in having women move into these spaces to be able to, right, to share and help grow
Mhm.
cultures in these ways that are different than we have today.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, what are the things that you think about with helping women move into these spaces and take that step?
um, wow, it's a $1 million question. There's a lot of questions.
That's why we all tuned in.
Yeah.
Um, first of all, I would say we have come a long way. I think females in today's world has grabbed a lot of seats at the executive table or at least decision making tables.
Mhm.
I've learned a lot from the pioneers. I see Sharon's on the line. Sharon is definitely one of our active speakers. Sometimes we invite her as well. Um, Sharon, Mary from Young Brands, Betty herself, she's a very outstanding female professional, come a long way too. Um, the more we see the females, and Sarah Mortimore with Walmart, there's a lot of other names that, yeah, I might forget, but there are a lot of, anyway, there's a lot of female professionals that are already in the executive tables. Um, so we have hope. We just need to continue to do that, because one thing it's tricky with females, I think, is we have to extravagantly profound and promote female leaders, then balance it out. So
Mm,
if we don't continuously drive that, empower females to sit at the table, it goes back to male leaderships really quick, because the society is built up based off male system.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to say is, now that we have more and more females in the leadership seat at the table, then we got to support each other. And that's Women in Food Safety originally found, to pipeline the future female leaders. We support each other unconditionally. And that's very important to help them to get to the seat or successions or the ladders. To whenever there's an opening, we tell them there's a female, we can do it. There's a female. And the more we have that, the more power we have at that table, at the
Mhm.
executive table.
Yeah, Melanie, I think one thing that you're touching on is this concept of, as women, we benefit from being around even like-minded people, get mentorship from other women, but also that sponsorship, right? And we've talked a little bit about the difference just on the show as well between like mentorship and sponsorship, where mentorship is, this is the way that I've done it. This is the way other people may have done it. Maybe I'm connecting you to people in the industry, where sponsorship is I'm writing you a recommendation or I'm bringing up your name in spaces that you might not have access to. We have an opportunity here. Yes, I'm bringing you with me, right, as a part of this opportunity, and I'm opening doors for you as someone, right, that supports this other woman that's in whatever, right? Obviously, we're talking about food in the food industry, but that could be in any different space. And Jill and I, we talk about this all the time, where as women, we need more sponsors, right? And not just other women to sponsor us, right? Like we need men to sponsor us, and we need people to bring us into rooms that otherwise we might not know even exist.
Yeah, absolutely. And then to do that, networking is very important. And that's why we have women in food safety being a community as a networking, as well as we go to IEFP, like we will meet next week at IEFP and all those conferences. So networking, knows to people is also important as well.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
It is, because it comes back to people, right? It kind of circles all back around to like when we care about people. And to care about people, as Megan said, we have to know people.
Yeah.
And that's kind of
Yeah,
how that all starts. So putting these
right.
pieces together really
Yeah.
takes dedication and the commitment that you've shown through, championing having women in food safety and staying on this path. So that's like kudos. That's amazing. We've all been part of it. So that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And then I just thought about it. I might forgot your second question, Jill. That what's the challenge? I think, yeah, we have come a long way, but there are still a lot of challenges. I don't know if I can give an answer on what's the main barrier or main challenge, because every woman is different. We have different personality. Also, every environment is different. The
Mm.
plant, like if a female is working as a QA manager at a plant level manufacturing site versus a female working in an office headquarter, the challenge will be different. But I have to say one thing that I will use Jacqueline. She's fabulous. Jacqueline is one of our co-leaders at Women in Food Safety. She said, "Stay up, keep your hands up high, and always keep your hands up high until your voice are heard."
Mm.
It's a community. Yes, a lot of time it's a communication, but it also takes persistence. Just
Yeah.
keep talking until your voice are heard. Keep your hands up high. I think
Mhm.
we summarize one thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I think some people could be thinking, right? Like, I have been communicating, I've been talking, I've been networking, I've been building these relationships the best way I know how. And sometimes we still run into a wall. And
Yeah.
I know that just in your career, right? Like you've had experiences of running into a wall. So I
Yeah.
would love for you to share with the audience on what happens when you feel like you're running against a wall? How do you handle those next steps?
Yes, I if I can share screen, I think
Oh,
it's something. Let me see if I can share my screen. I have two pictures. Um, so it's really a conversation you gotta talk, communicate with yourself. When is enough? And how is how is your surroundings and who you are? So it's quite important to know who you are, what's your leadership style, what's your personality, and do you fit in, or can you work with other leaders? Yes, the reality is the environment is challenging. Other leaders won't budge, they won't change. But then question to you is, were you willing to change? Yes, you can fit in that environment, but is that what you want? Is that the leadership you want to treat
Mm,
your team with? And is that the leaders you want to be? So I think I read once very it's a meme I think on Reddit is just because you fit in does it mean you belong? And I found
mm,
actually two pictures that can really represent.
okay. Let's see if you
Share
share.
screen.
Well,
So
and it,
this is one. Can you guys see the
Oh yeah,
onion?
yeah.
Yeah. So this is one. It's an orange fitting in the onion, and I'm gonna share another one.
but it brings
Uh,
up that really good concept. That what a great visual. Like you said, all
Yeah.
because it fits doesn't mean it should. Do you should it?
yeah. So
Do
this
you
is
want it to
also
be
another
there?
one. Yeah. So we can be all the plates, right? We are all plates to a business, and we fit in that perfectly. So yeah, we can choose to. Oh, did you guys see the plates?
Oh
Yeah.
yes,
So
yes.
yeah. So we can choose to fit in there forever. There's nothing wrong. It's your choice, and after your assessment, but that's a conversation it's really needed with
Hmm.
yourself. If you don't belong there and you are not happy with the leadership style that you are going to fit in, then it's the time to change because
Mm,
they won't hear you because the values are different.
yeah.
um then that's very unfortunate, and then
Oh, I think we lost Melanie.
Oh, I thought maybe it was on my end since I know I'm remote. Ah,
Oh no, well hopefully we will get her back.
mhm.
But I love what she is saying where she's talking about sort of fitting in, like it seems like you fit, right? Like it seems like you fit perfectly. I like the plates one because
Yeah,
we're in food safety, right? And
right.
we know that drying plates on literally a drain on the floor is not what we should be doing,
Oh,
but it fits perfectly, right? Those plates were able to stand up and fit perfectly there and could dry, right? But it doesn't mean it's the right application or the right place.
no, earlier when we had been talking with Melody too, we were talking about like the systems that we're in. So
Mm-hmm.
if the system is the drain with the drain, and that's where we are, we know it takes a lot of passion and patience to say, let's move from this drain to an actual drying rack.
Yeah.
But I think as women, we all are working in these spaces where these systems were really designed where, dare I say, men worked.
Mm-hmm.
And as we think about that shifting, a lot of us have probably encountered where it's not that we don't have the passion to move it forward, but we also have like hard systems that we are trying to shift. And so how do we continue that path to once again have others make it better for as people are coming along with us and behind us?
Right, exactly. Okay, Melody is back. Let me see if I can add her in. Melody, can you hear us?
yes, sorry, I don't know what went wrong. I think it's the Wi-Fi. Might be. I'm back.
You're
No
back.
way.
There you are.
Sharon did say it was the most flattering frozen picture. Melody, we were just kind of expanding on just the pictures that you shared, and the fact that we're in this space, right? That was created, you know, by men for men. We were even talking on our prep call, right? Like what 50 years ago, women in the United States couldn't even open a bank account. And so and I think that was about 50 years ago. And so it's like those things, that means those systems weren't really built
Right.
that way. And I think even some of the language that we've heard over the years was almost like, how do we become more like men to fit into spaces? But in reality, we just need to become more like ourselves, right?
Mhm.
Like we need to understand who we are, where we want to fit in. And we're just lucky that we're in an environment right now that we're able to do that. and really think about, who am I, right? Who are my values and where do I fit in? And when we find ourselves, right, in an onion, when we're an orange, we're able to look around and say, okay, this doesn't smell right, right? This doesn't smell like the citrus that I'm typically around. Let me do something different.
Yes, absolutely. Because I was gonna say before I froze, is being you as a leader is very important because you are comfortable at being who you are, and that way will impact the team a lot, and then you're comfortable doing the leadership. And another one is, you brought a good point, is male leaders. So the society is based on males, so that way the leadership styles that we see now is male founded.
Mhm.
So for female leaders out there, we got to be confident. There's nothing wrong. We are just a different leadership style.
Yeah.
And the males, call out all those who are listening are males, be open-minded, because female brought in a completely different leadership style. And that is the difference. There's nothing gender. Are leaders. Leaders are good leaders with their leadership style. It's just because it's always male, and then we see it in this way. But female now, I think we brought it in a new and a unique leadership style that is working. Because if you see in the
Yeah.
society, we see more females
Mhm.
being president. We see females being CEO, and it's working. And we just need to empower each other and be confident.
Yeah, yeah. And I always like to call out, right? Obviously, this is the business that we do, but these are actual leadership skills you're talking about,
Mhm.
right? And a lot of times, especially the people where some of these skills, like, they're almost innate or a part of who we are. Sometimes it can seem like it's just naturally there, right? But in reality, these are skills. These are skills that some people don't have any foundation with them, right? And they need to build up. Or there's skills where you might have a foundation around them because you naturally build relationships well. But there's ways to build on that to make it more effective, especially
Mhm.
within the industries you're in, within the different people you're talking with. And so I always like to just bring up, like, those are actual skills that we should be equipping our people with so that they can lead in a differential way, so that they can lead in a way that they can show, right, that they care about their people and that they care about each part of the organization.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course, I always love when we think about who we typically comes to mind when we think of great leaders. And when they're interviewed, they often will say, the reason I'm a great leader is because I'm committed to self study. I'm
Mm.
committed to continued growth. And even though I'm like, wow, I'm really good at this, like I keep going further because you
Yeah.
keep learning about yourself and how you're showing up and how you're interacting. Because without that pause, you will just be on autopilot.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I think that's one of the things that we can bring even more as we step into this space, because we do have to consider how are these different skills are meshing with others or perhaps not meshing with others, and how we're contributing. And
Hmm.
that's one of the powerful things that we can bring as women, um, is that desire to understand that aspect of caring that we bring to people.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, Melody, as we talk about women in food safety, where do you hope this group or even women around you, like, what do you see us doing in the future? How are we gonna get there?
Um, yeah, that's a very good question, because if you asked me 5 years ago, I didn't really think it will come along till today's scale. It was really originated by, so I went to University of Maryland, College Park. I was part of a food science club. I think everyone relates to that food science club. And I, ever since I graduated, I still stay connected with the students there. And they would keep asking me, how can I get this? How do I prepare my first interview? And
Mhm.
my passion with helping people and be empower females formed my seed on, okay, I would like to have a woman in food safety to pipeline the future leadership and bridge the gap between students and industry to help them. So I was fortunate because throughout the years, I had a really supportive Go Terps, yes. I had a very supportive network that I can't thankful enough to my committee members. Now we call it core leadership because the groups has grown so much. We have Joe Hoffman, we have Jacqueline Sophie, Laura that's from Target, and then also Melanie, who's our general counsel. And we also very excited that we have the support from Latam chapter, Damaris, and she's fabulous. Oh, yeah, Damaris is great. So all of us now was really think we would like really make an impact, and we wanted to have different different chapters from a global perspective to help female in the industry and with detailed focus. Like we would like to help challenges from manufacturing sites. So if you are a QA manager at the plant level, the challenge, we would like to hear it and we provide you resources. Females that has to step away from the industry and coming back to the professional world, like our Jacqueline, she's one of a very good example. We would help you how to stay connected. And then last one, mainly focus is the leadership. We were more we welcome like business owner, like success business owner, like Betsy I mentioned, CFO, prior Chief Food Safety Officer like Sharon, to come back to our community and share their stories with the members and inspire them. And also another fold we would like to make an impact is work with all the corporates. All the corporates actually have a woman group. Like at Treehouse, we have women at Treehouse. At Walmart, there's women at Walmart. At Wendy's, there's women at Wendy's. How we can work with them together to provide them package and toolkits to help their female workers in food safety departments. That's another thing we're thinking down the road. If to summarize, we want to make this women in food safety become a community, a safe community for females to gathering, to share their achievements, because we got to share excitement together to solve the problems together. You are not alone. Anyone members we met now in the community, when they share their challenges, we all like, oh, I experienced that. So we can have more females that don't have to learn the lesson we learn. They can learn from us and get through their success in the industry. So really provide a network and a community for female to shine. And we want to see, of course, my personal goal is to see more and more females to be the chief operation officer from our community, chief food safety officer, CEOs, VP above executive levels, and ease of the nervousness of the students, fresh graduate students, so that they can catch up in the industry. I have a personal, I think, a milestone I want to see. I want to see one day we could have a women in food safety conference that just focus on females, have female leaders as speakers, because we are not only good leaders, we are smart in our technical as well. But call out to all the conference planner, programmers, there are so less female speakers in the current food conventions, at least not enough. So I want to see if there is a women in food safety conference, and then we can bring in psychologists, we can bring in all other industry to help us grow and learn together. I think that is ultimately women in food safety, a network that female feel comfortable can be happily in and share their experiences.
Yeah, that's amazing. What like hefty goals, but needed, right? Like those are things that I feel like our industry needs and the women in our industry need, from a networking perspective, from a resource perspective, from a learning perspective, from a leadership perspective, obviously with where we focus on, like those things are needed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes,
Thank
because
you
I
for
think
support.
like
And I will reach out to you. It needs all of us support.
Yes.
it does. And I
Yeah.
think, Rochelle, I think you point out, right, when we're not confident in our abilities, that's sometimes the picture that others take away. And so
Yeah.
the more we can be here to support each other to say, we've got this, like, yeah,
Yeah.
you know what, this might be a blind spot. Let's work on that together. Let's help
Yes.
navigate through these things.
Yeah.
Let's create possibilities
Mhm.
so that you can choose the path that feels right for you versus modeling it after always somebody else too.
Yeah.
And the more we can have people shine and step into what they offer and their gifts, the more powerful we are together,
Mhm.
and being able to help make that change.
Mhm. Yeah, and
Yeah.
prioritizing, right, getting those types of skills early on in our careers, right? So that we can continue to grow those skills and build those skills over time.
Yeah.
And even we started this conversation talking about care of people. And one of the reasons we don't talk a lot about care of senior leaders is because they get a lot of resources like executive coaching,
Mhm.
things, leadership, all of those things, right, that we know people need in order to succeed as leaders in the organization and ultimately care about their people.
Mhm.
And it's interesting when you look at when those resources typically become available in an organization. Well, it's late, right? It's late in your career where you have already been leading, you've already been derailing people along your way. You've already caused, people to leave your organization, what like Sharon put in the comments.
Mhm.
And you've already caused this kind of damage along the way. And then you get to a place, right? Like we've seen it. You get to a place where people are now talking to you about your leadership. You're now going through executive coaching and you realize, wow, I needed this so much earlier on in my career when I was working directly with frontline employees, right? When I did have a small team that I was leading. And so, we're obviously extremely passionate about this, but it's because it's actually needed in our industry.
Yeah.
And when we think about, like, even Sharon, thank you for sharing your experience where you worked for one woman in your career. It was a nightmare. You chose to leave the organization. Well, for people that know Sharon, we know that Sharon is a valuable resource to an organization. So for
Yeah.
you to exit because of leadership, we we do not want that to happen. And we know
Yeah.
70% of people leave because of their managers.
Yeah. And Sharon, yes, it
Yeah.
starting at the beginning. That's why Tia and I started Catalyst, because these are the resources that we wish we had when we started in our careers. And
Mm-hmm.
yes, I'm shamelessly plugging because, we love when people are like, I am juggling so many things, but yet we give them peace of mind when they're like, we're ready to work with an external partner to make sure our team gets the development, whether it's leadership, professional, personal, to really help total
Mm-hmm.
well being and success in the workplace.
Yeah. And Melody, I love it that you're thinking about that even from a women in food safety networking group perspective, where
Hmm.
you're like, how do we even partner with organization to provide them with the resources that they need? Because
Yeah.
I mean, we've all are working in industry or have worked in industry, like we're busy, right? And it's hard to focus on the things that we have going on here while also focusing on the needed skills that we need, thinking about women being promoted within the organization. How are we compensating our people from different diverse backgrounds, as well as including gender, right? Like those are things that we also need to be thinking about and giving time for. And it's hard when we are overworked, burnt out, frustrated, right?
Yep.
And so I appreciate that you and your leaders at Women in Food Safety are focusing on those things and hope to see that grow.
Yes.
Absolutely. And then once we get the power, get the name out, then we can make impact, like the equivalent of the salary. So females still get underpaid, but those are down the lines. That definitely. But let's group together. And I
Mm-hmm.
see the comments coming in, and those are very good comments. And they remind me, I think every time if I have an opportunity to tell my female team members or peers, I oftentimes to tell them be confident because female tendency like tend to have a less confident level. We always think we can do better. We always think, I should
Mhm.
have done better, or I could have. It's my I didn't think of this. No, we are already very good. We're good enough to
Mhm.
perform, especially compared to our male peers, and we don't need anyone else to tell us you're good, because we gotta be strong ourselves and be confident. We are very good. We are very
Yeah.
great to do what we are doing. We own the leadership seat at the table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, it
know.
makes that mindset shift, right?
It
Yeah.
is, and like you said, those skills of, like, how to stay in that. That's one of the things that I love when we do boot camp, when people are like, "I feel more confident." I walk away and I
Yeah.
know that I am more empowered. I have agency over who I am and what I'm doing, and that translates into what people see at work. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
gosh,
amazing.
we have covered a lot of topics today. All
Yeah.
right. So as we think about wrapping up, Melody, what are the 2 or 3 takeaways that you hope our audience carries with them?
Oh wow. Be confident. I think if be confident, keep your hands up high always,
Mm,
and support your females around you. Let's start all from ourselves and start with the small things, and then we can make the impact eventually. So really support all females in any way surrounded you within your team or your peers or your cross function departments, as long as they are females, support.
I
nice.
love that. And if people want to learn more about women in food safety or connect with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Sure. Well, connect with me. My full name is on the screen. So find me on LinkedIn. Feel free to message me. And I might not know all the answers, but my community will have the answers, and I can connect you to the right person. Women in Food Safety has a LinkedIn page as well. Follow the LinkedIn page. And then also we have a website that might be too long to read out. It's www.womeninfood.com.
Mhm.
And you can find the details and updates from our Latam chapter as well, and the leaderships. And we also have resources provided on the website.
Awesome. Okay.
Thank you. Melody, we could like
Find
talk.
me, and yes, find me, and I'll share with you all the information.
Yes. This is a topic that's, that we're passionate about, right? And just the work that we do. We are obviously women leading in food. So we experience similar experiences. So I appreciate you coming on our show today and sharing your perspectives, sharing women in food safety with our audience as
Mhm.
well. And we hope that if you're listening for the first time, or this is the first time you're hearing about women in food safety, get involved
Check it
and
out.
check it out, right? And get connected and be a part of something, if you have the passion around it and have something to give.
Yeah. So thank you,
Thank you.
Melody, for being here. We so appreciate it, and we appreciate the work that you're doing on everyone's behalf.
Yes,
So,
yes,
Thank you. Thank you. Pleasure to be
and
here. And then once again, thank you for having me here.
of
oh,
course. And
yes,
thank
and
you to
thank
our
you to the
audience.
audience for being here as well. We appreciate your support, showing up for Melody, for doing real talk with us,
Yeah,
and support for what we're doing collectively to help transform how we're leading in food.
yes,
So
yes.
thank you all. We'll be back here, same time, same place,
Yeah, if
next
you
week.
yes, and if you are going to Long Beach, reach out to us. Say hello. We
Yes.
would love to connect with you in person because we will be there.
Yes. So make it a great day, everyone. We'll see
Bye,
you soon.
everyone.